The Drivers' Championship may have been decided weeks ago, but that hasn't stopped us from getting thrilling races. The Brazilian Grand Prix gave us a must-see battle between an interesting pair, Sergio Perez and Fernando Alonso. In this video, we'll revisit Sunday's most interesting moments, topping it off with who won the war, Spain or Mexico. Stay tuned to find out. Max Verstappen claimed the top spot at the Brazilian Grand Prix this past Sunday, with Lando Norris in second place and Fernando Alonso rounding out the podium in an exhilarating manner. The race's final stretch saw an intense battle between Alonso and Sergio Perez, with a mere 0.053 second gap separating them at the finish line. Verstappen had been relentlessly pressuring the Aston Martin throughout the closing laps. It added a spark of excitement to what had initially been a routine victory for Verstappen, as Norris secured his 13th career podium, putting him on par with Nick Heidfeld for the most podium finishes in Formula One without a win. The race day started with a bit of drama even before the actual race began. Charles Leclerc's Ferrari spun and hit the wall at Ferradura during the formation lap. Leclerc reported a hydraulic issue with his car over the team radio and voiced his frustration, pondering why bad luck always seems to find him. A plume of smoke billowed from the rear of his SF23 just before he collided with the wall, which left Verstappen as the sole occupant of the front row after Leclerc managed to steer onto the escape road. Although Aston Martin initially occupied the second row, the start of the race witnessed both Fernando Alonso and Lance Stroll being overtaken by Lewis Hamilton and Lando Norris, who skillfully maneuvered around them as they approached the Senna S. In the rear, a significant collision prompted the immediate deployment of the safety car. This occurred when Alex Albon's attempt to pass Nico Hülkenberg on the outside resulted in him making contact with Hülkenberg's front tyre. This collision, in turn, sent the Williams driver, Nico Hülkenberg, crashing into Kevin Magnussen's Haas, eliminating both drivers from the race right at the first corner. The track was littered with an extensive amount of debris, necessitating a red flag to halt the race. Oscar Piastri likely breathed a sigh of relief due to this decision, as he had been declared unsafe to continue after Kevin Magnussen collided with the back of his car, while Piastri skidded off the track in a helpless situation. Additionally, Daniel Ricciardo's race was marred by damage incurred during the first lap chaos when a loose bouncing tyre struck his car, causing his rear wing to break. Both Australian drivers found themselves in a race against time as their teams frantically worked on their cars during the break. Meanwhile, the marshals diligently worked on repairing the barriers and clearing debris from the track. When the race resumed, the new top 5 positions featured Verstappen in the lead, followed by Norris, Hamilton, Alonso and Stroll. After a half-hour delay, the race resumed with a second formation lap and a standing start. Verstappen and Norris took their positions on the front row of the grid. Ricciardo and Piastri, although able to restart, found themselves at the back of the field, each a lap down due to their earlier pit stops on the first lap. Initially, George Russell had been considering a cooperative approach with his teammate Hamilton, but Sergio Perez, positioned right behind them, was eager and aggressive. At the Senna S, Perez made a move on Russell, successfully passing him for 5th place. He then skillfully defended against Russell's counterattack into the following braking zone, maintaining his position. Perez wasted no time in closing the gap to Hamilton's Mercedes. He pulled off yet another daring move at the Senna S and moved into 4th place, trailing Alonso by a margin of 8 seconds as he set his sights on securing a podium position for himself. This development prompted Hamilton to make his first pit stop for medium tyres, a move that aligned with the widely held expectation of a race strategy involving at least 2 pit stops, emphasizing the crucial role of strategy at the Interlagos circuit. Perez made his pit stop 2 laps after Hamilton did. Despite a quick 2.2 second stop, he came out of the pit just behind the Mercedes driver. Hamilton had cleverly utilised the undercut strategy during the first round of pit stops, which meant Perez had to make another overtaking manoeuvre to regain his position. Perez expressed his confusion about Red Bull's decision to follow Mercedes' strategy rather than pursuing their own race plan. However, his engineer, Hugh Bird, reassured him, saying, "You've got the pace." This confidence seemed to be well placed as Perez managed to pass Hamilton once more, this time using the slipstream and making the move into Descida do Lago just 2 laps later. During the second round of pit stops, Perez opted to come in before Alonso, hoping to gain an advantage by undercutting the Aston Martin. However, the two-time world champion, Alonso, had a comfortable margin and managed to maintain his hold on the third position overall. Alonso had to fend off Perez as the Red Bull driver closed in on the Aston Martin, vying for the final podium spot. On the racetrack, it appeared that Perez had a significant pace advantage over Alonso. However, the Spanish driver skillfully utilised his ERS battery at the right moments on the track. Although Perez remained consistently within the DRS zone of Alonso, the Aston Martin driver demonstrated great skill in fending off the relentless advances of the Red Bull throughout the final part of the race. After exercising patience for several laps, Perez conserved enough energy to mount a more effective challenge on Alonso. He made a daring move down the inside at the Senna S on the penultimate lap, successfully overtaking his rival following the Junção section of the track. Just when it seemed the battle was settled, Alonso continued to apply pressure and closed in on Perez as they headed into the final lap. He managed to stay within DRS range on the back straight and executed a pass onto Descida do Lago. However, the long stretch leading to the start/finish line provided Perez with the opportunity to make a final push for the overtake. And as they crossed the finish line, only a mere half-tenth of a second separated the two drivers. In the end, Alonso held onto his podium finish by a razor-thin margin. Fernando Alonso attributed his retaking of third place on the final lap at Interlagos on Sunday night to what he called a 1-meter mistake by Sergio Perez. He commended Perez for his role in the intense battle and praised the Red Bull driver for his adept handling of wheel-to-wheel racing. The Spaniard said this to Sky after the race. "It was nice. It was a clean battle. Very aggressive but clean battle always with Checo. I think he has a very good record finishing the races and always battling hard but keeping both cars on track. I knew that he was coming. I knew that he was a threat, and at the end it was maybe more difficult than I thought, to be honest. 5 laps to the end, I thought that he is under control, so I started pushing, and then I look at the mirror and Checo was there and I said, oh no. I think he was saving tyres as well, so he will be a strong contender for the podium. At the end, I'm happy that we did it. I think, for the team, we were struggling a lot in the last 2 races, but we never lost focus on what was the target. We went deep in the analysis, we stayed united, we stayed together, and this was a very nice thing to witness in the last 2 events. After Perez managed to overtake Alonso on the penultimate lap, Alonso initially believed his chances of getting back on the podium were slim. Interestingly, from his vantage point within the cockpit, Alonso recognised that Perez inadvertently helped him in the battle with a minor error during the cornering manoeuvre. He added, "Honestly, I thought that maybe my chances were gone in turn 6. I went on the outside to change line, but then I picked up a lot of marbles and then the tyres were dirty. The tyres were vibrating as well and I thought, okay, this is gone. But then I wanted to have one more chance into turn 1 or into 4 with the DRS. Maybe braking very aggressive, very late. I think he understood that as well, so he braked late into turn 1, missed the apex by 1 metre, and that gave me the run into 4. So, unexpected to be honest. When I lost the place, I thought it was gone." What are your thoughts on the eventful Brazilian Grand Prix? Tell us in the comment section down below. And, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Thanks for watching.